Hello, my name is Jon Stallings, and you are watching the Postmortem video for the game Life Particle. Life Particle is a puzzle adventure game set on a mysterious planet that uses telekinesis as the core game mechanic. I was the lead level designer for this game, among many other roles. The game was created by a team of 4 Full Sail University students during the last 4 months of their game design Bachelor of Science degree program. The first month of the project was the pre-production stage, where we came up with game ideas and prototyped the different mechanics. The next 3 months were dedicated to reaching each milestone of the development process: Alpha, Bravo, and Gold. Looking at this game from start to finish, I have to say that I'm very proud of what our team was able to accomplish. The process of making this game wasn't easy, but in the end it was definitely worth it. The first 2 weeks of pre-production were a nightmare and had the whole team nervous about where we were headed. We were struggling coming up with a solid game idea and grasping for enjoyable core mechanics. We originally wanted to do a survival horror type of game that relied heavily on stealth and outwitting your enemies instead of killing them. The more we discussed the fun factor and the feasibility of creating the intended experience for this game, the more we realized it wasn't going to work out. Fortunately, these 2 weeks were not a complete loss. One of our primary mechanic ideas was the use of telekinesis to interact with the environment. This is where the concept of Life Particle's gameplay came to fruition. From there on, we put our nose to the grindstone and finished with a great prototype that made our instructor call us one of his favorite success stories while teaching at Full Sail University. Alright, I will stop boring you with all the details of the development process. Instead, let's take a look at Life Particle. Life Particle is set on an isolated island on another planet. The objective of the game is to investigate and sample the 4 primary water sources that sustain the planet's ecosystem. The island has a unique water cycle similar to Earth, but instead pulls the water-like resource from the sky and forces it into one entry point in a cyclone-like manner. From there, the water-like substance flows through the island, sometimes even flowing uphill, and eventually is sucked back into the atmosphere. We still have yet to discover the exact science behind the phenomenon. The player's character also has unique telekinesis abilities that allow them to interact with the environment in various ways to progress through the game. From a distance, the player can lift, move, push, pull, and throw certain objects depending on their type and size. Heavy objects cannot be easily lifted, so they must be pushed and pulled. Lightweight objects can be lifted, thrown, pushed, and pulled. All of these mechanics are controlled by the mouse. There are many types of puzzles throughout the game that can only be solved through the use of these telekinesis mechanics. Puzzle design was a huge part of the development process of Life Particle. We aimed to create unique puzzles that were not too difficult in execution, but took a bit of thinking to figure out how to progress to the next area. One of the nice things about Life Particle's gameplay is that it doesn't require a very high skill level, and you can play at your own pace. There's no enemy to fight or time to beat, just an environment to explore as you wish. The level is broken up into 10 different environments. There's the beach where the player starts and the tutorial takes place. That leads to the jungle temple where the first water source is located. Then there's a long river that you ride all the way to the forest. Once you reach the forest, there's another water source to sample. From the forest, you proceed to the treetops where you climb above the forest, river, and jungle temple. The treetops take you to the mountain lake that features a swirling current, requiring you to ride floating boxes to another water source. The mountain lake dumps the player down into the caves beneath the island, which transition you to the cliffside courtyard. From the cliffside courtyard, you must ascend up the cliffs while solving vertical puzzles. The cliff sides lead to the final temple, where all of the water is pulled from the sky and put into the island. Here you will find the final water source to sample. I have learned so much during the development of this game. It has been an awesome experience. I have become a proficient environmental artist. I am now able to create custom 3D assets and textures using programs like Maya, ZBrush, and Sculptress. I created many custom assets and materials for our game to better fit the project vision and theme of our world. I have also become very knowledgeable in the Unreal Development Kit. I now consider myself an advanced level scripter in Unreal Kismet, due to the sheer amount of scripting that I had to do for the many player-versus environment encounters in our game. I have learned a ton about the physics engine in Unreal Engine 3 because most of our gameplay was physics-based. I also got much more comfortable with the terrain editor while making the terrain for the game and learned how to set up different material layers as well as use all of the terrain tools to create the desired effect. Let me take you quickly behind the scenes to give you a better idea of how some of our game features and mechanics were made. I will show you how I created the river functionality. This is one of the many features of our game that required some outside-of-the-box thinking to set up. Flotation physics is not hard-coded into Unreal Engine 3, so I had to fake the effect of flotation. I did this by setting up force actor volumes all along the river that push actors up in the z-axis when touched. By experimenting with the amount of force applied, density of the actors, and some other properties, I was able to make the object hover in the air and produce a floating effect. I then placed force actor volumes that push K actors in the x-axis to make the current effect that pushes the box down the river. I then created some custom materials that scroll moving texture images of river foam and waves and applied them to meshes which I placed as the surface of the water above each of the force actors. After this, I placed particle emitters like water, splashing, and spraying all throughout the river to help cover up some of the mesh seams and create a more realistic look. Finally, I placed trigger volumes all along the river that play a death cinematic that I made in Kismet whenever the player touches them by entering the river. As you can see, there are no actual water volumes being used here, and it looks quite strange when you take away the surface meshes, but it works all the same without them. There are many other advanced systems in Life Particle that required in-depth scripting to create the effects and features you see while playing, but we don't have enough time to look at them. I hope this video has given you some insight about the development process of Life Particle and shown you a little bit about the game. I encourage you to play it and let us know what you think. Feedback and constructive criticism are always welcome. Thank you for watching this postmortem, and have a nice day.